As a kid, I remember walking past a certain wall in my grandparents' house, never thinking much of it. It was just another part of the backdrop. Until last month, when I noticed a faint outline, the shape of a door I'd never seen before. My heart pounded as I stood there, questioning whether I should even try to open it. There was a strange mix of curiosity and fear, a sense that I might be crossing into something meant to stay hidden. What I found inside that forgotten room wasn't just a collection of old things. It was a secret that fractured the trust I had in my family's story, a truth that forced me to see everything and myself in a new light. Sometimes, the past waits in silence, just behind a wall, until the moment you finally step through. There's a strange tension in discovering something you were never meant to find. In a house where every corner feels familiar, the sight of a hidden door is enough to make you question everything you thought you knew. The outline on the wall was subtle, just a rectangle where the plaster didn't quite match. I stood there, hand hovering, feeling a knot in my stomach. Was it just a trick of the light? For a moment I tried to dismiss it, but the urge to know more kept pulling me back. Finally, I pressed my palm against the rough outline, feeling the cool surface beneath my fingers. The knob turned without resistance, but as it moved, my heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. I hesitated, breath tight, before opening the door. Inside, I found something I never expected: objects left to tell a story. The room was cold, and the air tasted of dust. Light crept through cracks in the boarded window, making everything look washed out and still. It was the kind of quiet that makes you feel like you're intruding. I stepped in, the floorboards creaking under my weight, every sound amplified by the silence. My throat tightened as I took in the scene. Near the far wall, a cracked picture frame rested on a shaky table. The photo inside so faded, it was impossible to make out the faces. Next to it, a locket lay half open, its tarnished surface catching the weak light, the initials on the back barely visible. I picked it up, feeling the metallic tang on my fingertips. A stack of letters, tied together with worn twine, sat nearby, their paper brittle with age. But what drew me most was a journal, buried beneath yellowed newspapers. Its leather cover was soft from years of handling, the spine barely holding together. When I flipped it open, the first line stopped me cold. "If you're reading this, you already know too much." My pulse raced as I realized this wasn't just about old things. It was about stories hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to listen. And in those first few pages, I started to sense that the secrets inside would reach far beyond the dust and silence of that forgotten room. The journal's early pages set a steady rhythm, each entry almost mundane. Garden chores, neighbors dropping in, lists of groceries. But as the writing went on, a heaviness crept in. The tone shifted. One day's note was marked by a thick stroke of black ink, the handwriting suddenly jagged. The entry circled a date no one in my family ever mentioned. That day, a fire gutted the family business. The loss was more than just bricks and money. It splintered relationships, left wounds that never healed. What caught me off guard wasn't just the account of the fire, but the raw emotion in the aftermath. There was anger at the neighbors who watched but didn't help, and guilt that seemed to seep through every line, as if the writer believed they should have done more. Later, the journal hinted at something even more shocking: a confession. But those pages were torn out, leaving only a few words trailing off. It was as though the most painful truths had been hidden twice, first in silence, then by removing them from the record. I found myself searching the room for answers, glancing at the initials on the locket and matching them to the names in the journal. I remembered how my grandmother's voice would tremble when she spoke about the old days, and suddenly those stories felt closer, more real. As I pieced together the small clues, the brittle letters, the faded photograph, the locket, I realized this wasn't just a story about the past. It was about people I thought I knew, and the parts of themselves they never shared. There were entries about betrayal, about trust broken between siblings. One page described a fight, the words almost scratched into the paper. "How long were you planning to keep lying to me?" It made me wonder, should some secrets stay buried, even if they explain so much? One entry ended mid-sentence, the ink trailing off, as if the writer couldn't bring themselves to finish. That silence said as much as any confession. I closed the journal, feeling the weight of everything I'd learned and everything I never would. The room around me felt changed, emptier, but also honest, finally cleared of the shadows that had lingered for years. As I took in the space, I realized the family's burden had become mine, to decide what to reveal and what to protect. The journal's words lingered, reminding me that family histories aren't just facts, they're questions that shape who we become. Uncovering these hidden stories brought me closer to understanding not only my relatives but myself. Think of the heirlooms in your own home. What stories lie waiting? Hidden truths and forgotten memories can change how we see ourselves, sometimes in ways we never expect. And sometimes, all it takes is noticing the faint outline of a door you almost missed.